See that guy who looks loaded? You won't believe this. He asked me for $200 last week. So I had this friend, let's call him Marcus. Marcus drove a Range Rover, always had the latest everything. AirPods Max, designer sneakers, the works. We'd go out and he'd insist on picking up the tab. Big spender energy, right? Then one random Tuesday, Marcus texted me, "Hey man, can you spot me $200 until Friday? My card's acting weird." And that's when it hit me. Marcus wasn't rich. Marcus was broke. He just looked expensive. Here's what that text message taught me. Income isn't wealth. Ownership is wealth. And most people, myself included for years, get this completely backwards. By the end of this video, I'm going to break down the exact 3-layer system that separates people who look rich from people who actually are rich. Layer 1, your foundation income.
Layer 2, your bridge income. And Layer 3, your freedom income. I'm also going to give you a 90-day roadmap to start building this, plus real examples you can start with, even if you're broke right now. But first, you need to understand the most expensive lie on the internet. Looking rich is not the same as being wealthy. Here's what I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed this too. The people who talk the most about money often have the least of it. Now, obviously not everyone, but it's common enough that it traps a lot of people. The influencers posting their Gucci hauls on Instagram, a lot of that's maxed out credit cards. The guy in your office with the BMW could be a 72-month loan he can barely afford. I'm not saying this to judge anyone. This was me too for years. I'm saying this because understanding this difference changed everything. Quick test.
If you lost your job today, how many months would you be okay? 1 month? 3 months? 6 months? Or would you be immediately stressed? Don't answer out loud. Just be honest with yourself. Your answer to that question tells you more about your real financial situation than your car or your clothes ever could. Actually, let me give you 2 numbers that tell you everything. Runway, how many months you can live if your paycheck stops, and gap, what's left after your monthly expenses. Here's how to calculate them. Runway is liquid cash savings divided by your monthly expenses: rent, bills, groceries, minimum debt payments. Gap is take-home pay minus your monthly expenses. If your runway is under 3 months, you're not fine, you're fragile. If your gap is 0, layers 2 and 3 can't exist. The gap is the oxygen for layers 2 and 3. You have to fix it first.
Let me break down what I learned. There are basically 3 types of people when it comes to money, and most of us were taught to aim for the wrong one. First, you've got the flashy broke. Income might be decent, 50, 60, maybe even 100 grand a year. But every dollar that comes in goes right back out on things that lose value the second they buy them. Cars on payment plans, clothes with logos, bottle service at clubs. They're not building anything, they're renting a lifestyle. This isn't everyone with nice things, but you know the type I'm talking about. Second type, the comfortable stuck. This is where a lot of middle-class people end up. They make decent money, they save some of it, they've got a 401k and maybe some money in a savings account. They're not flashy, and they're definitely not broke, but they're also not free. They're one layoff, one medical emergency, one bad break away from serious problems. They traded being flashy broke for being stable stuck. Third type, the quietly wealthy. And this is where it gets interesting, because these people could be your neighbor and you'd never know it. They might drive a 10-year-old Honda. They probably don't post much on social media. But here's what they have that the other 2 don't. Options. Time, freedom. They have what I call layered income, multiple streams working for them at the same time. Comment 1 word right now. Are you flashy, stuck, or quiet? Be honest. They're not richer because they make more money at their job. They're richer because they stopped thinking of money as something you only trade your time for. Now let me show you exactly what those 3 layers look like. This is the framework that changes everything. Layer 1.
Your foundation layer. This is your main job, your salary, your paycheck, whatever you do right now to keep the lights on. And here's the thing about Layer 1. You're not trying to escape it immediately. Not at all. You're trying to optimize it. What does optimize mean? 2 things. First, you're making sure you're getting paid what you're worth. When's the last time you asked for a raise? When's the last time you looked at what other people in your role are making? A lot of people leave thousands of dollars on the table every year just because they don't ask. Second, you're not letting lifestyle inflation eat you alive. You know what lifestyle inflation is, right? It's when you get a raise and immediately upgrade your apartment, your car, your everything. So you're making more money, but you're not actually getting ahead. You're just running on a bigger hamster wheel.
Here's the move. Pick one lever this week. Raise your income or cut one recurring expense. Not both, just one lever, consistently. If you do nothing else, kill one subscription and negotiate one bill. That's your first gap. The goal with Layer 1 isn't to budget harder. Your goal is to buy back your time. And that starts by creating a gap between what you make and what you spend. That gap is where everything else comes from. And by the way, Marcus, he wasn't spending because he was happy. He was spending because he was scared of looking broke. This is the trap. That's what Layer 1 has to fix. The gap. Pause for a second. How big is your gap right now? If you're making $60,000 and you're spending $59,000, you've got a $1,000 gap. That's a start. But if you can get that gap to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year, now we're talking.
Layer 1 is simple. Widen the gap. Here's where the game changes. Layer 2, the bridge layer. This is where most people get stuck because this is where you have to actually do something different. Layer 2 is about creating a second source of income. And I'm not talking about getting a second job at Starbucks. I'm talking about building something that has upside, something that isn't tied one-to-one to your hours. Here are 5 bridge income plays that work for normal people. These fit into 3 lanes. Sell a skill, like freelancing, sell a service, like a local business, or build a product, like digital content. Pick the lane that feels easiest to start, not the one that sounds coolest. 1. Freelancing a skill you already have. Writing, design, coding, photography, whatever. This isn't about being lucky. It's about being useful, then owning something. 2.
Starting a small service business. Cleaning, lawn care, handyman work, pet sitting. Low barrier to entry, real income potential. 3. Creating and selling a digital product. A course, an ebook, templates, presets. Make it once, sell it repeatedly. 4. Dividend investing. Buying stocks that pay you quarterly just for owning them. You can start with $100 in some platforms. 5. Renting out a room on Airbnb or to a long-term tenant. You're leveraging an asset you already have. You don't need all 5. You need one you'll actually do. If you want more ideas, I'll pin a list of 10. Here's what that looks like starting today. Skill lane. Offer one service to one niche. Service lane. Get your first customer from one local Facebook group. Product lane. Build one tiny template pack and sell it once. The key is this.
Layer 2 should have the potential to make income that scales beyond your time. If you're just trading more hours for more dollars, that's not really Layer 2. That's just more Layer 1. Here's the uncomfortable part. Building Layer 2 takes work, real work. You're going to be tired some nights. You're going to sacrifice some Netflix time. Some people around you might not get it. That's okay. This is temporary. You're building a bridge to somewhere better. Let me tell you about someone I know who figured this out. Her name's Sarah. She's a teacher, makes about $52,000 a year. Not rich by any means. But Sarah did something smart 5 years ago. She started a small online tutoring business on the side, just a few hours a week, made an extra $400 or $500 a month at first. Instead of spending that extra money, she saved it for 6 months. And there were months she wanted to quit because it felt slow. But slow is the point. Slow is sustainable. She built up savings. Then she split that money. Half went into an emergency fund. Half went into dividend-paying stocks. Nothing fancy, just boring index funds and a few solid companies. Now, 5 years later, here's where she's at. The tutoring business is still going. That's about $600 a month now. Pretty low maintenance since she's got it systematized. The dividend portfolio, it's grown to where it pays out about $200 to $300 a month. Combined with some other small investments, she's got roughly $800 to $1,000 a month coming in that isn't her teaching salary. Is she rich? No. Can she quit her job? Not yet. But here's what's changed. She doesn't stress about money anymore. She took a whole summer off last year. She helped her mom with medical bills without it wrecking her budget. She has options. That's Layer 2 and Layer 3 starting to work together. Layer 2 is momentum.
income that's not one-to-one with your hours. And that brings us to layer 3, the freedom layer. This is income that shows up and isn't tied to your hours. Sometimes it's truly passive, sometimes it's low maintenance, but it's not one-to-one with your time. Now watch this. Nothing is 100% hands-off. The goal is not zero work. The goal is decoupling income from your hours. That's the shift. Layer 3 comes from assets, things that pay you just for owning them. Here are 5 types of assets that build Layer 3. 1. Index funds and dividend stocks, companies that send you checks just for being a shareholder. 2. REITs, real estate investment trusts.
You own a piece of big properties without being a landlord. 3. Royalties from small digital intellectual property. Books, courses, music, templates. Create once, earn repeatedly. 4. Rental real estate that cash flows. The rent covers the mortgage plus expenses, and you keep the difference. 5. A business that runs without you or with minimal oversight. You own it, someone else operates it, or it's systematized. The beautiful thing about Layer 3 is that once it's big enough, you don't need Layers 1 or 2 anymore. You're financially free. You work because you want to, not because you have to. Now, here's the realistic timeline, and this is important. For most people, building Layer 3 to the point where it replaces your income takes years, not months, years. Sarah's been at it 5 years, and she's not quitting her job yet, but she's on the path.
And every month she's getting closer. But here's what's crazy. Once you understand this 3-layer system, you can't unsee it. You start looking at every dollar differently. You start asking, which layer does this serve? And you start making completely different decisions. Layer 3 is ownership. Assets that pay you back. Now let's make it real. Let me walk you through what the first 90 days of this actually looks like. Day 1 through 30, awareness. Day 31 through 60, creating the gap. Day 61 through 90, proof of concept. And by day 90, you'll know your numbers, you'll have a gap, and you'll have your first dollars outside your job. Because I think this is where people need the most help. They understand the concept, but they don't know where to start. This isn't financial advice, by the way.
This is just a framework that's worked for me and people I know. Day 1 through 30, this is your awareness phase. You're going to track every single dollar you spent for 30 days. I know that sounds annoying. Do it anyway. Use an app like YNAB, Rocket Money, or even a simple spreadsheet, whatever you'll actually stick with. Why? Because most people have no idea where their money actually goes. They think they know, they don't. At the end of 30 days, you're going to see patterns you didn't see before. You're going to find money you didn't know you had. Most people find $2, $3, sometimes $500 a month they were basically wasting. Subscriptions they forgot about, eating out way more than they thought, impulse purchases on Amazon. Whatever it is, that money, that's your Layer 2 seed money. Day 31 through 60, this is your gap phase.
Now that you know where your money's going, you're going to make some cuts. Not everywhere. You're not trying to live like a monk, but you're going to find the stuff that doesn't actually make you happy, and you're going to cut it. Also during this phase, you're going to figure out what your Layer 2 is going to be. Which one fits your skills? Which one could you learn? Which one gets you excited? Pick one. Just one. Don't overthink it. Commit to it for 6 months. Write this down. I am going to blank for the next 6 months. Fill in the blank. I'm going to freelance graphic design. I'm going to start a tutoring business. I'm going to learn dividend investing. Whatever it is. Day 61 through 90. This is your proof of concept phase. You're actively working on Layer 2. Maybe that means taking your first freelance clients. Maybe it means creating your first digital product.
Maybe it means opening your first brokerage account and buying your first dividend stock. Whatever it is, you're taking action. By day 90, you want 3 wins. You know your real numbers, you've created a gap, and you've made your first dollars outside your job, even if it's $20. Because that first $20 changes your identity. You're no longer just an employee, you're a builder. Most people stop here. Don't be most people. This is where people slip. Let me tell you the 5 biggest mistakes I see people make when they try to do this, because knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. Marcus tried a side hustle too, but he made one mistake that wiped out all his progress. Let me show you the 5 mistakes so you don't repeat it. Mistake number 1, quitting your job too soon. I've seen this more times than I can count.
Someone starts making a few $100 a month from a side hustle, and they immediately want to quit their job and go all in. Don't do that. Your main job is your foundation. You don't demolish the foundation while you're still building the house. A safer rule is this: don't quit until your bridge income can cover your essentials for 6 to 12 months, and you've stress tested it. Make sure it's not just one good month. Make sure it's consistent. Mistake number 2, not having an emergency fund first. Before you invest a single dollar into layer 2 or layer 3, you need at least 3 months of expenses saved up, ideally 6 months, because life happens. Cars break down, you get sick, your laptop dies, whatever. If you don't have that cushion, you're building on sand. One emergency and the whole thing collapses. This next one is where people get wiped out.
Mistake number 3, investing in things you don't understand. I don't care how good the opportunity sounds. If you can't explain it to a 12-year-old, you shouldn't be putting money in it. Here's a red flag. If someone says guaranteed returns, run. If you can't explain how it makes money in one sentence, don't buy it. Stick to simple, boring stuff until you really know what you're doing. Index funds are boring. Rental properties are boring. That's why they work. Mistake number 4, lifestyle inflation. I mentioned this before, but it's so important I'm going to say it again. As your income grows, your expenses need to grow slower. Much slower. Otherwise, you're just running on a bigger hamster wheel. When you get a raise or your side hustle starts making money, put at least half of that increase toward building layers 2 and 3, not toward a nicer apartment or a newer car.
This is the trap that got Marcus. Every time he made more money, he spent more money. He never built the gap, and that's why he had a Range Rover but couldn't cover $200. Mistake number 5, doing it alone. Find people who are on the same path. Join communities online. Get an accountability partner. Read books. Listen to podcasts. Because this is hard. And when it gets hard, and it will get hard, you need people who understand what you're trying to do. People who won't tell you you're crazy for working on a side project instead of going out every weekend. Here's the thing about those 5 mistakes. I've made all of them. Multiple times. So I'm not lecturing you. I'm trying to save you the time and money I wasted learning this stuff the hard way. All right, let's bring this home. Here's what I want you to remember.
The difference between looking rich and being rich is simple. Looking rich is about what you buy. Being rich is about what you own that pays you. Every dollar you spend on stuff that loses value is a dollar that can't work for you. Every dollar you put into assets is a dollar that can multiply over time. You don't need to make 6 figures to do this. You don't need to be some finance genius. You don't need to have rich parents or get lucky. You just need to understand the 3 layers, and you need to start building them today. Not tomorrow, not next month when things are less busy. Today. A Range Rover isn't a runway. Here's your actual homework. Go look at your bank statement right now. Find one thing, just one thing, you're spending money on that doesn't actually make your life better. One subscription you don't use, one habit that's draining your account. Cut it. Take that money and put it toward building layer 2. That's it. That's the first step. Comment your runway number, 136 or 12 plus. No details, just the number. If this video helped you see money differently, hit that like button. If you want more content about building real wealth without the BS, subscribe. I post videos breaking down money concepts that actually matter. And here's something I'm working on for next week's video. The 7 income streams that quietly wealthy people have that most people don't even know exist. And I'm going to show you how to start building each one, even if you're starting from 0. You're not going to want to miss that one. I'll see you next time.
Yeah!